I noticed you have the sounds of thunderstorms and raindrops playing in the other room. What's that all about?
I'm a big fan of tropical sounds, tropical plants, more so tropical plants.
Are you playing the sounds for the plants?
No, it's like a soothing atmosphere.
Maybe it helps them grow a little bit.
You ever been to the Rainforest Cafe?
No, I've never been to the
No,
Rainforest Cafe.
well, there's one here in Arizona.
Is it still around?
I believe so. I remember watching this video where a guy traveled the country going to like each Rainforest Cafe, and I'm pretty sure there was one here that he stopped at. But this is a very interesting sound. I don't know. I like the rainforest. You don't like the rainforest?
Do they play sounds? I've never been to the restaurant, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's
They pump
very
in
kitschy. Or
ambiance
Disneyland,
of parrots and stuff. What do they do at Disneyland?
or like Indiana Jones, like going through like the jungle.
Never
part.
been to Disneyland.
You've never been to Disneyland?
Never been to
Maybe
Disneyland.
that's what we need to talk about
Never
today.
been
Why
to Disney
haven't you
World.
Been to Disneyland?
Never been anywhere.
Why?
Apparently.
Because like you didn't want to? Like have there been opportunities where you
Growing up in Iowa, you're in the middle of the country, so Disney World or Disneyland are both
So
equally
far away,
far apart.
yeah.
And by the time we were traveling for that type of vacation, I was, more like high school.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do Universal Studios, roller coasters, more extreme stuff. At that point, Disneyland, all the Disney stuff felt very childish.
Yes, it is very childish. Although if you go maybe when you're like young teens is still pretty fun to go. Like I feel like a lot of high schools do like a field trip where a lot of like just teenagers go, and it can be fun. I think it's more fun if you're into that kind of not like fake, but the because it takes a lot of effort to make something look real, but it is fake, right? So it's like fake rocks, fake plants, fake sounds of but it gives you like the immersion of being in like a real jungle. So it's very cool if you're a nerd like me, not like a theater kid because I wasn't in theater, but I appreciated the level of art that goes into making something like that.
Yeah, well, with video and film, what we do, audio, people say is half of the picture.
Yep.
It's such an important part. Sound effects, sound design, the music. So even in real life, I think that is an important part. Whether you're at, because there have been times where I've been to a restaurant and the music is like it's not on, and it feels
doesn't
strange.
match,
Or
like,
like
the rest
it's just
of the
quiet.
decor.
If there's not enough people, if there's not enough clanking and the background noise, the walla. If you don't have that, it can be very off-putting and disturbing to eat in complete silence.
Well, I know there's people who are just Disney fanatics, Disney fans, which I know those people who go to Disneyland and just enjoy, Mickey, Minnie, the whole gang, but
They go all the time.
they do go all the time.
The park holder season
Yes.
pass.
Yeah, well, every year they update certain things. There's actually a new type of fast pass that's making them. I don't know. It made news. It made headlines because previously, you have to wait in line for rides and everything. And there was this thing that they developed where you could like pre-get a ticket, so you didn't have to wait in like a 3-hour line. But there's still lines, if you go. Like an hour-long line, but instead, what they're going to do now is notify you on your phone. So you're going to get like a pre-ticket, pre-pass, but it's going to be on your phone, so you don't actually have to go to the ride or anything. But they'll notify you, so you don't have to be waiting in line for an hour. But the benefit of the park is, well, now you could be walking around and potentially buying, more items, more food, more whatever,
Instead of standing in line. But
Instead
I
of standing in line.
feel like no matter how well you explain it. It's still totally confusing for anyone who's never actually done it, because that was
like
my
a fast
experience.
pass situation. Yeah.
I went to Legoland because now I have kids who are that age, 7 and 6,
Yeah.
and we're looking at we're like Disneyland, Disney World, Legoland. They like Lego, like the Lego Movie. Let's go to Legoland, see what that's all about. And they have Legoland as well has a fast pass of sorts.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's tiers to the fast pass. So there's like the regular fast pass, the premium fast pass, and the ultra. That's not what they call it.
Yeah.
It's something else. But I'm like, why do we need this? Like, this is really confusing. The benefits aren't
Especially-
explained.
Yes, nowadays it gets more and more confusing, especially with technology,
The
because
hoops you have to jump through.
there's that, and there's the limitations, right? It caps you. It's like you can only save up to 2 rides. You can't get an infinite number of
Right.
fast passes. So there's a little bit of strategy that goes into it. I realized this recently. Last year I went to Disneyland with my brother and his family. So he has two children, but I don't know, like I would have to do research in order to know like how to use it efficiently, because certain rides open at certain times and you don't want to use your fast passes before you know which rides are, available. So it's very interesting how it can be, I don't know, a game to a lot of people, figuring out like, oh, well, this is the most efficient route to get to the rides that everyone wants to.
Right. We checked into this ride. We were on the ride. So now while we're on this ride, let's check into the ride that's, the 20 minutes away because that's how long it says. And I was like, it's almost, it's a game on top of just being at the amusement park, but it's not a fun game. I don't like
No, not that. It's like a logistics game, which some people are very into.
You might as well work at UPS or something.
Yes.
I've got to deliver this package to this house, and then we got to be over here at this time.
Which I remember being, I don't know, I've only gone maybe 2 times prior, once when I was in high school and then once when I was like 8 years old. So
Disneyland?
Young. Disneyland.
Have you ever been to Disney World?
Not Disney World.
Okay, so you don't know the difference between the two.
But I went to Disneyland before California Adventure, and then once California Adventure was a thing. But when I was a kid, I remember you actually had to go to the ride to get a ticket, right? Before cell phones, before apps were a thing. And I feel like that's the most reasonable way to go about rides, because like you have to be there, in my opinion. Like, well, if you're gonna ride it, go there. I feel like it's cheating if you're just getting it on the app, because you're like cutting everyone. It's like, who's the quickest to tap the button? Like, that's not cool. I like the old way when everyone lines up in the beginning of the opening gate, and then everyone has to run and get your position if you want to ride a certain ride.
Black Friday, but of the amusement park land. Yeah.
But that's not how it is anymore.
No. It almost seems like the incentive now is to make the lines longer and to make the wait times more painful so more people pay. That's probably the secrets behind the scenes that they're doing.
Well, now they're kind of relieving those people, because they're realizing it's not profitable for the park if you're just standing in line for 3 hours.
But it is profitable if you pay to skip the line.
If you pay to skip the line, which I thought was weird. You shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that's an option for, like, I don't know, that they must have stolen that from like the airlines, because airlines do that a lot, right? It's like, oh, like, you could bypass.
First,
you could, like, there's the first 15 seats on Southwest usually. It's like, well, if you pay a little extra, you can skip, the whole boarding process and everything.
I was even just recently at Fear Farm here for around Halloween time. And that's like kind of a smaller, more rinky-dink, like once a year Halloween theme park. And they had a Fast pass, like skip the line.
What? Yep. I want to be scared right now.
Yep. Basically, like this concept of, oh, you don't like waiting in line?
Yeah.
Well, and instead of us like making the lines faster or giving you more attractions or spreading people out a little bit. That's ridiculous. Oh, you can just pay to be first.
I guess that's...
Make everyone else wait longer.
That's in a lot of industries, like bars. You can like skip a line, like at a very popular bar. Usually it's like, oh, tip the bouncer and then you'll get in. Yeah. But that's not as fun. Like, I think line culture, I don't know if you're familiar with line culture, but a lot of people say that like barbecue kind of started line culture in like Texas. Like there was like it's a whole industry where you pay other people to wait in line for you, because something like barbecue, you actually have to be there. So like there's that, like my time's not, I don't know. Is it valuable?
The schemes we humans work ourselves into, and it feels like, I don't know, you might just stay home, cook at home, have fun at home, put your VR headset on, just tune out.
Yeah, no. Well, I guess we'll talk about VR. But the other thing I was going to talk about with Disney, now that you were talking about it, I thought it was very interesting, like my dad, like looking around and seeing like how things are welded, together. He's like, oh,
he's inspecting the park.
He's not inspecting it, but getting ideas, because my niece is, right? So he likes to tinker with things and make things. He's very crafty. But he's like, oh, so that's how they did it. Oh, okay. So like he's getting ideas. And I think that's part of the fascinating part about like those parks is how they're built. So the like the castle, for instance, is like tapered down in scale so that it appears taller, right, than it actually is, especially in photos. Yeah. Which those parts are more fascinating to me. Like when you're walking around the park, they have certain scents that they're pumping in. So like all those.
They pump in smells?
Yeah, smells.
Of what?
So like fresh baked cookies or things.
But they don't have fresh baked cookies?
They do. But to enhance like your, like if you don't see it, you can smell it, and then all of a sudden you're like, where is that, you know, coming from? Or it like
but I'm trying
soothes
to
you.
understand, is the smell the real cookie, or is it a
No.
smell of a
It's
cookie?
smell of a cookie. So
And
like
they also
that,
have real cookies.
right? And also in like different parts of the theme park, they'll make it smell a certain way, feel a certain way, right? It's like they have like misters right in the jungle. Where I'm very fascinated about the jungle, but
Make it feel more humid and tropical.
yeah, it just like the way that they're able to like manipulate just an otherwise ordinary piece of land in California to make it all these different, you know, biomes essentially.
Shaping reality in reality.
Yes. But then, you know, talking about VR, I was beside myself because I was sent a photo of my niece playing like an arcade machine at Costco, right? These arcade machines, I forget what they're called, like One Up Arcade. Are you familiar with those?
Well, you showed me the picture. It would look just like Pac-Man.
It's like a mini arcade machine. So like not like one of those huge boxes, but like a smaller version. But
Still
they have,
tall though, still the cabinet style.
It's probably not taller than like, I don't know, 4.5 feet, 5
Okay.
feet. So you could probably like still see over it. It's manageable. You could probably like pick one up yourself kind of thing. But right next to her was a VR, everything VR, like the Meta Quest, you know? And I was just,
The new one, I assume,
yeah,
the Quest 3.
which I was like, why is she more interested in Pac-Man than VR, like the new, you know, technology? Because I would assume if I was a kid, I'd be so into the new stuff. But also I remember just also still being like fascinated by old technology. So I don't know, like even today, I still like older technology more so than new technology, but also we, you know, work in the industry, so we have to, you know, keep up with the new stuff. But it blew my mind when I was, you know, it's like, why doesn't she want the new toy? Why is she fascinated about the old one? But I guess that's how it is.
There's so many options for kids nowadays. You've got like iPad games, you know, touchscreen type stuff. You've got Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, all still very popular computer games. They now have, I mean, when we were growing up, there were computer games that were educational, but now the educational computer games are like incredible, like World of Warcraft level gaming, but for like teaching you math, teaching you reading, teaching you
Interesting.
writing.
So it's not like Carmen San Diego.
No, it's not like the cheap games that we played. Like I played Math Blaster,
Right,
or like
yeah.
Jumpstart, second grade. That was one of my favorites. And they were kind of like cheap flash games, but now they have like RPGs where you can level up and like get powers and all this stuff. But it's a good for you game. It's educational.
It's like you're bleeding out. It's like 8 times 8. It's like,
Basically, yeah. They gotta fight the bad monsters, you know,
in
with
order
math.
to continue. That's
And
intense.
yeah, and then like obviously VR is becoming more and more of a thing with Meta, and Apple has the Vision Pro coming out next year, and I just think it's just like another drop in the bucket of, and it's like pick whatever you prefer to kind of consume. And for me, the problem with VR is always you have to experience it to even know what it's like. A video, someone telling you about it, you have to put the goggles on, and even then, the ability to do that is not readily available like it is to like watch a video of someone playing Pac-Man and then, oh, I go play Pac-Man. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
VR is very personal, the experience.
Yeah, watching somebody do VR is not nearly as fun because like the immersion that you get from even like a low resolution VR headset is still very impactful, I think. Like the first time I, you know, tried the VR, it was it wasn't the Quest 2, it was the Oculus. So,
Or the Vive. What do you?
was it the Vive? It must have been the Vive.
When we went to
It was
that
the
office,
HTC, yeah, Vive.
Vive, yeah.
And even for that, it was like a blank slate, and then he was like, all right, here's a paintbrush. And you're just drawing these things, and you're just like, holy moly, like, this is incredible. But watching somebody on a 2D screen, like on YouTube, for instance, I don't know, you just don't get impressed very much, especially because, again, it's like a very low resolution game, most likely that they're playing. It's just like, what's so immersive about that? But when you try it, then I feel if anyone tries VR, they'll probably have that sensation of like, I kind of want to do that again.
Well, you seem to really like it. I'm kind of, I could take it or leave it.
It's much more, I would say, because I kind of like a first-person shooter kind of games. There was one game on the Quest 2 that was like a paintball. So like being immersed and like actually being able to like duck dodge, like that was really cool, because otherwise you play games and you're just moving a joystick, and like it can be fun, very competitive, but to actually move your body, like that's another level of, again, like just immersion, where I found very like addictive, because then it's more rewarding, because it's like, oh wow, I just really dodged something, instead of just move out of the way, with my thumb.
Yeah. I think for me, the VR games, the ones I like the most are some of the simplest. So like Beat Saber, or there's another, I'm forgetting the name of it, but there's like a shooting game where it's like you're just on a track. I almost imagine it kind of like Guitar Hero or something, where it's like very simple.
Oh, like a Quest. What was that? Time Crisis.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Whereas you're like on rails, you're just going down a path, and you're just, it's just like an aiming game. You just shoot the guys. Those are the most satisfying for me, because anything more complicated than that is so hard to maneuver, because there's usually like to move, you got to click a button, or you got to like, you still have to move a joystick somehow. You're not actually moving unless you do the open space VR, which is like you need a warehouse or something. Yes. I don't know. That's not the actual room scale. Is that what they call it? Yeah. So I've never done anything like that, but there's just an element to the movement that has to be simple for me to be enjoyed. But because it's simple, I don't find myself wanting to go back, because it's so basic. I'm like, yeah, I've done that. I get it.
You might be interested in the newer technology. So the Quest 3, there's like a zombie game where, because the headset has like a pass through, and it's a color pass through, you actually map out the room you're in, and then let's say there's a doorway, you can tell the game that doorway is actually like outside. So like the room you're in, let's say, is just placed in like the middle of a forest. And then if you peek out the door, like that's like the forest. But the rest of the room is your actual room that you're in. And then like an ammo box will like appear on the counter, kind of thing. So I feel like something like that is a little bit more immersive. But that might be something that where, like you're talking about, it's still more than just standing in one place, and you feel comfortable at least moving around the room, because you can see like the room.
Yeah, they have pass through, so you can see your reality, and the extra graphics are laid on top of it.
Which, like an older generation, you would have to just kind of map out the room and then make sure that there's nothing actually there.
Don't run into anything.
And like not run anything. But now, like I said, it's the pass through's color, so now you can actually see the environment. Plus, it's augmented.
Yeah, there's an element to it it's expensive, right? I think the new Quest 3 is $500. And I'm like, okay, but I have a Quest 2, and I kind of get the VR thing, and I don't find myself attracted to it that much. Is it worth $500 to have these extra features at the end of the day really just trap me at home and keep me?
If you're interested in that, right? It's like, if that's your escape, there's other escapes, right? There's other things that you can fill your time with. Right?
Well,
like
I mean,
watching movies.
The price of Disneyland, though, these days, it might be worth it to spend the $500 and stay home.
It is interesting how they're implementing like sports games, like NBA, for instance. There's, I don't know if it's on the Quest necessarily, but I've seen like a VR experience where you're sitting half court, like on the court, watching a basketball game, actually moving your head left and right.
This is real basketball, or
real basketball? Okay, yeah. I feel like that's a very good implementation of that technology, because for as much as you could just watch a sports game, you're kind of relying on the director who's actually telling the camera switcher which experience everyone has altogether, as opposed to you having your own experience. But like you could watch the game, or you could like look the other way and watch whatever's happening like in the stadium. So like the halftime show, for instance.
It's just not for me. I've never been attracted to like going to sporting events, even concerts. I'm kind of like, the benefit of being there is the volume, is how loud it is. Yeah. But like the people and being stuck in one position, where I have to watch from like the corner.
See, but now you can watch the game and then just go to your kitchen, get a snack, and then go right back to being at the stadium. So.
I'm more sold, I think, on some of the marketing that Apple put out around the Vision Pro, where it was like, watch a movie, but it's in 3D and it's like a big screen in your living room, and that's like it. But you're in like nature, right? Your surroundings.
That's weird.
You can like pop up some trees and you can just watch a movie in the forest, right? But you're really on your couch in your living room. That simplicity seems kind of nice. And I know the Quest can do a similar thing, but most of the marketing is around the like, room scale pass through type stuff where it's like play a game in your kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to run around my kitchen, you know?
What?
Then my wife comes in. What are you doing? Oh, I'm
Nothing.
fighting zombies. My kids are like, what are you doing, Dad? And then I got to get them headsets. They can't have headsets. They're too young.
That is the awkward part about virtual reality, which I feel like we already had a taste of if you ever played Guitar Hero. Because I remember the day I stopped playing Guitar Hero was when somebody asked me, he's like, wow, like you're really good at guitar. I was like, I'm not.
I don't even know how to play.
I'm not actually. And I couldn't play it after that. I was like, nope.
I did the drums in Rock Band are a little closer to real life, but still not.
Keeping a beat, maybe. Like learning how to like actually like tempo.
And the different coordination of like your right hand, your left hand, your right foot, your left foot.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that.
Pressing buttons on a guitar, like guitar that's neck. Not as functional.
But when I played Guitar Hero, that feeling made me want to go play a guitar and learn how to play guitar, and I did.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So
that's way better than just
way harder.
Well, it's but I would find myself watching videos of people playing expert mode, not because I'm interested in becoming an expert in Guitar Hero, but I was just like blown away at like the amount of time somebody put into playing Guitar Hero. It's like, wow, that's very impressive.
Could have taught yourself real guitar.
Well, it's like air guitar, except
they were doing that for a while, like the air guitar,
like competitions. Yeah, I'm sure there still are.
Oh man, there's something for everybody.
There's a competition for everything, even like short films. I know, like we talk about it all the time. It's like, why don't we ever submit to short film competitions?
I cringe at short films. They're just not
like, I don't really understand it.
Almost anything that's independent is usually terrible.
Yeah, I don't understand the. I don't know. People get like the praise, right? But like, is there glory in winning like a short film competition?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is there though? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's getting other people to see your work, but
there is that aspect, which is fine. I don't like the business side of film, where it's like you pay $200 to have your film submitted. Yeah. Like that is the weak part. If it was more organic, where it was supported by sponsors, where knowing people were going to show up to the event and it was hosted by sponsors, and you just picked good films, and like there was more of a selection process of just like based on merit, fine, perfect film, But I don't know. I don't like the competitions that are based on entry fees. Like that's weak.
Paying to get in.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this last night because I was listening to someone on YouTube talk about short films and film festivals, and that's where you find the real art. And I've just found it's one thing that's turned me off to the film industry is just how terrible all of the independent stuff really is. But people prop it up and they say how good and how great it is. Last time we talked about Whiplash, which is a movie based on a short film. And you can watch the short film on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's a legitimately good short film. And you're like, yeah, this is promising. Let's make a feature out of it. And they did a great job. That is like the rarest exception. Most art films are so terrible. And people will tell you, oh, it's so good. You got to watch. It's so good. It's way better than, Marvel and Disney and all the studios. This is the good stuff. And it's boring. It goes nowhere. There's barely a plot. I just watched a film. Have you seen a movie called Good Time?
No. New movie?
It's a couple years old. It's got Robert Pattinson as kind of the main character. And it's an independent film. And I don't want to say anything too bad about it because it's fine. It's whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's on Netflix. You can watch it if you want.
Oh, okay.
It's called Good Time. I don't know if I recommend it. I probably don't. But if you look up reviews for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, where, oh, so good. Oh, groundbreaking, incredible. Oh, the performance of a lifetime.
Right.
Like, so gritty, so real. And it's one of those movies that just things happen and then the end happens. And you're like, but what was the story?
Yeah.
What happened? Where did we, what's the plot? And just moments in this random life of these characters it's all shot very tight, close up, so it's very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And you don't really have a sense of space or what's happening where. And it has an aesthetic that
I was going to ask, does it look good at least?
No, but it looks intentionally bad.
Oh.
Because it's gritty. It's like, oh, let's make it look a little gross and dirty. And and it's great.
That's
but
unacceptable.
I'm like watching this like this is nothing.
Yeah, it's not worth the effort almost.
I just like to watch something that has a purpose or a point, or like when you finish it, you're like, oh wow, like I got something out of that, like Whiplash, which we talked about last time. I just watched another movie called The Killer on Netflix. Have you seen this one?
No, I don't have Netflix.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I got rid of my
got rid
Netflix.
of it. Smart, saving
yeah,
money.
a while ago. Well, back when there was nothing really on Netflix. This is maybe about a year ago. So I've been watching the, I don't know, Netflix ramp up the prices, but
Yeah,
I'm not affected.
$30 a month now.
Yeah.
The Killer is a Fincher movie. So you're like, oh, David Fincher, like this is going to be like really good. And it's beautiful. It's cinematic. There's parts of it that I really enjoy. Like I like the details. But at the end of it, you're like, what did I, like, why did you tell this story?
Yeah.
Of all the stories you could tell. And this is a problem. Of
Is it
like
unique? Not a unique story?
He's a hitman. He's a killer. And he's very methodical. So like I feel like that's kind of been done. This is a little bit different where he, he's very precise. He's got his list of rules. But that's like it just kind of reminds me of other things like Dexter,
like John Wick. They have
or
rules.
like John Wick. Yes, like there's just other things that are enough like it that you're like, okay, what's new about this? And it's just him getting revenge, and then by the end of it,
Did they kill his dog?
they beat up his girlfriend.
Ooh.
Which is not spoilers. Like he comes back from a job and they like roughed up his girlfriend, I think, and it's not super clear. At first, I was like, "Is this his like? Is it his sister? What's going on? What's the relationship here?" Because then he talks to the girl's brother, I think. It's a little unclear, but I'm pretty sure it's his girlfriend. And yeah, it's him getting revenge on the people who like came at went after him, but she was there. And it's good. I mean, it's not terrible, but like I compare that to something like I just watched The Firm, also on Netflix, which you probably haven't seen because you don't have Netflix.
Nope.
Tom Cruise movie, classic.
Is it an older movie?
It's old, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gene Hackman, Tom Cruise.
Huh.
Tom Cruise is this young, aspiring, I think he goes to Harvard. He wants to be a lawyer. And so at the beginning, he's like taking interviews with all these different firms. And the one comes to him and they give him a smoking deal. They're like, we're going to pay you more than everybody else. You're going to be treated. You're going to give you a house. We're going to give you a Mercedes.
Jeez.
And it was like, ooh, I want a Mercedes back in the 80s or 90s. He's got, I think he's just recently married, so he's got to convince his wife, and they're kind of broke. They're poor. And they go to move to Memphis from Boston. Is that where Harvard is? Maybe he's at Yale.
Yeah,
I don't know. One of them, right? One of these like elite colleges. So he goes to Memphis to work at this firm, and then over the course of the movie, you find out this firm's kind of doing business with the mob, and they're kind of cooking the books a little bit, and they're doing some illegal stuff, and he doesn't really like that, but it's kind of the FBI comes after him. They're like, "Oh, we need you to be an informant," and he's like, "Well, I can't break my oath. I got this job to uphold."
Sounds very compelling.
They're like, "If you don't work with us, we're going to come after you, basically, right? We're going to take this firm down. And you're going to be part of it." And then the firm's all like, no, you gotta be loyal to us. So he's like, he's playing these different pieces, and then this culminates in a plot, in a story. And by the end of it, there's a payoff. There's an end, a resolution. And it hits those beats so perfectly that I would much rather watch something like that than like, oh, watch Tom Cruise shop for groceries and then like, oh, he goes to an amusement park and then like a dog runs away and he's got to save the dog. But then, oh, like he sees a boat drive by and there's a party going on. Like that's the kind of
and then this
amateur,
and then this,
the South Park
because
the rule of
like
South
why
Park,
did
right? So there's just so many movies like that now that are because they're telling the story in a cool way or they're being artistic with it. But it's like, but what am I getting out of this? What's the message? I got more a message out of Leo, a kids movie, which you should get Netflix just for this movie.
Oh wow, Netflix!
I think
you've
you'd like
been
it.
on a Netflix tear lately.
Yeah, well, they got some good new stuff and some good old stuff. Adam Sandler plays an aging lizard. It's a kids animated film.
Nice.
Leo, Adam Sandler, and Bill Burr plays an old turtle.
Oh, cool, yeah.
So I think it's right up your alley.
I love Bill Burr. His old comedy was hilarious. I don't know if he's made anything new. I know he has his show, The F is for Family, on Netflix.
Is that still? Is they still making that?
I don't know if they're still making it. I don't know if I watched the last season. I don't know, the third season. I think they got up to three seasons. But
I never watched that one. I couldn't get into it. It was too adult.
Was it?
Yeah, for me.
I think
I'm not.
I don't know. It was like both at the same time. Like it was very like it had some adult humor, but then like very childish. It was weird. But
I prefer more of like either a straightforward, like it's definitely adult, or it's definitely.
I think the animation style made it seem more childish because it wasn't as gritty as like Bill Burr's like comedy.
Yeah.
At least the plots, that related to his comedy. But
Leo is definitely a kid's movie, so don't get your hopes up. It's not adult at all. It's a children's film.
Yeah.
But it's great, and what's funny is that came from some random studio. I don't know, the Happy Madison, productions, and then they Adam Sandler's company.
Yeah, I was like gonna say. Yeah.
And then they combined with some other animation studio, one you've never heard of.
Right.
Came out the same time as Wish from Disney and Trolls from DreamWorks. Those are like the two big studio kids films. And Leo, the random Adam Sandler animated film, has better ratings on Rotten Tomatoes than the two others. And I would say it's arguably a better movie than Trolls or Wish.
I was going to ask if it was, again, like a unique story. Is it?
It's very unique, actually. So he's a lizard that realizes he's about to die, and he hasn't done anything with his life because he's a class pet. So he's in an aquarium tank his whole life with this turtle, Bill Burr. And he realizes he needs to see the world and live his life. But it turns out at the same time, they're doing like the take-home pets for like the 5th graders. And it turns out these animals can talk, like actually talk to humans.
Gotcha.
So it's revealed that he talks to one of the students. She takes him home. She's 5th grader. She's dealing with 5th grader problems. And he's this old lizard. He's been there. He's done that. He's seen it all over the years. So he's got some wisdom to share. And so she improves herself as a result of his advice. And then this progresses throughout the entire classroom. All the kids take home Leo, the lizard, and they learn life lessons from a aging lizard, and he learns a lesson along the way.
I was expecting
teacher
you to
learns
say
a lesson
that it
along
was
the
like
way.
a demonic thing, because if you speak lizard,
No, it's not Harry Potter.
like speaking tongues, it's like a serpent.
Tongue.
Yeah.
No, not like that. Just
Okay.
very.
Because that would be hilarious.
He's got good advice too. This lizard.
How does he know anything?
He's smart.
If he's been in the
he's seen
back of the class the whole time.
He's seen the good students. He's seen the bad students. He's seen the good teachers. The
like,
bad
I know
teachers.
everything about 5th grade. It's like, do you?
Yeah, he only knows about 5th grade,
Yeah,
which is one of the good jokes that he never got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, so he doesn't know how to like add or subtract. He only knows fractions. Yeah, it's a good little joke.
I'm surprised I nailed it right on the head there.
Yeah, and it's fun. They're like sarcastic, aging reptiles.
Yeah.
Helping students become better people.
So do you think it's ever going to be a point where let's say the Marvel MCU, do you think they're going to reboot it with a new Iron Man, just go through the whole gauntlet again?
Well, they're going to take the old ones first.
The old ones?
They're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. back first. They'll bring Chris Evans back first. And then they'll reboot it.
To be what? Like
bring him back to be on the poster, to be in the trailer.
Into the old MCU franchise?
They'll bring him back. Yeah, they'll bring him back. Absolutely, because they're bleeding money, so they're going to bring him back.
Do you think they're going to spend more money?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be worth it.
They put Robert Downey Jr. in a film again.
I think that might be the nail in the coffin if they do that.
Oh, it's jumping the shark for sure.
Oh no, we are reliant on these old talent actors.
Yep.
Which, don't get me wrong, will bring a draw. But is it going to be worth it? Because
they'll bring him back to pass the baton. And depending
I thought they
on who
did that, didn't they?
They tried to. They failed miserably, so they'll try again.
That's hilarious. It'd be interesting to see though if they do try to just redo the old movies, just straight up shot for shot, just with better graphics.
They'll probably have AI do it at that point. Be like, yeah, let's just retell the story.
I guess you could probably redo it, and then with VR, you could also be there, just like looking around. Like, wow, this is interesting.
But no one wants that, I think.
No, you don't want to sit at the table.
No, I just want a good movie to watch. I don't care about the gimmicks. I just want like a good story, good characters. It could be simple and basic.
Maybe that's part of it, though. Maybe that's the next evolution of experience. Like, yeah, like being told a story and being, given like shots to look at. Hey, here's a close-up of this. You need to know what this is, It's like, why not just be there? And then it's more of like an investigative piece where you actually have to really pay attention. Yeah, you're like, what do you have behind your back there? It's like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, but that's when like the twist is ruined, Because I think we were talking about that in the Saw movies, where like there's always the other character off to the left or off to the right. You don't see him until like the fourth movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in VR, you just be like, wait, who's that guy?
Yeah. Why is this guy in the corner? Does anyone know about this guy?
Just wait for the sequel. You'll find out why he's there.
Yeah. I think that's a much better.
Yeah, I saw him the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Imagine having like an interrogation or whatever, and you're just like also in the room like this, and you're just like, oh my God. And then someone refers to you. Who's that guy? You get too close. Whoa. Sorry, I'm supposed to be a fly on the wall.
What is that? That's I think it was on Netflix.
What?
But it's probably not this year. That movie Spirited.
Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah, that was one for a while ago. No, Spirited. That's a good Christmas movie. Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds. It's a musical. It's the story of Scrooge. Well, it's kind of like a Christmas Carol. Oh. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a good Christmas past, present, and future. You know the story of a Christmas Carol?
No, not really. I've heard of these things, past, present, and future, but no.
Christmas, yeah, with Ebenezer Scrooge.
You know, I'm familiar of it because it's been in other popular franchises.
Just like the references,
like a South Park. It's been in one of those. You know, it's watch maybe Spirited. Family Matters did one. I think
probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
but it's a classic. Spirit is a good version of it. It's an Apple film, and I think they're re-releasing it in theaters this year.
Yeah. I've never seen any of Apple's films.
The one you said you wanted to watch is an Apple film.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that I've seen.
Napoleon, right? Is that an Apple
That's
film?
That's an Apple film?
I think so. I think it is.
They have a good quality. I've seen like trailers for their stuff, but I don't want to be in their ecosystem.
Oh, you don't want to pay Apple?
No, not really. Not really. Not on my list of to-dos.
Yeah. They're like decent if you have it. Like if you have the Apple TV Plus or whatever they call it, it's kind of worth it if you got it with with an iPad or with a phone or with a computer. But to buy it is...
I feel for the people who do have like Apple Music, because it seems like nobody really has Apple Music, which is ironic because everyone has an iPhone.
And iTunes
but most people
very
have
popular.
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify really...
Which,
dominated.
I don't know, I think Apple just really put a sour taste in everyone's mouth when they made everyone pay for music for so long, and then Spotify comes out of nowhere. It's like, hey, this is free. It's like, yeah, of course. Or Pandora,
yeah, Pandora, that was popular. But Spotify, way better.
Yeah, Spotify's way better.
Way better.
And initially, it was the exact songs you want to listen to for the no ads. That was the original OG Spotify if you had the link. But...
the golden years.
Yeah, which now it's kind of hilariously frustrating when you pay for like an ad-free experience and then podcasts like build in ads throughout their, and then you're sitting there like, what? I thought this was ad-free.
Makes me think of taking some mushroom gummies right now.
Well, this is an organic advertisement. There's a difference between this and there's like an ad break, for instance, and like Joe Rogan's podcast has that, where in the middle of his podcast, there's like an ad break for like AG1, like health supplements.
Yeah, I don't. But this is a terrible idea. We should never.
Yeah, absolutely not.
We should never do that.
If we ever did
with
that,
10 different mushroom species packed into the most delicious gummies you've ever tried, this bottle has it all, including favorites like maitake, shiitake, lion's mane, reishi, and cordyceps. You'll experience a powerful blend of beneficial compounds that support healthy cognition and increased energy levels. These gummies are of the highest quality and efficacy, making them the perfect choice for anyone looking to perform at their best. Designed for a productive lifestyle, it's the easiest way to include all the benefits of mushrooms in your day. Perfect opportunity to chew the mushroom gummies, taste the deliciousness.
Oh yeah, yeah, something about these, man. Mushroom extract. Yeah, those are
They're really good. Speaking of, you mentioned something earlier. I can grab off the shelf here. You're like old technology versus the new stuff. You got to know the old and the new. This is the Canon A1. Mm. My uncle gave this to me. It's kind of like an early Christmas present. He was cleaning stuff out, and he thought, hey, I know a guy who's into photography. I'll give him this old camera, which is a film camera. So you can still buy film, and it shoots film. It takes, whatever the film roll has, if it's like 24 or 26. I've only shot one roll on it so far. And there's something very satisfying about this?
The click?
Like, that sound is just incredible.
Wait till you finish the roll.
I know. It's way better than anything digital feels, because you feel the sound, you know? And the digital stuff just doesn't have
The
the same.
mechanical shutter. Well, there's electronic shutter, man. You don't want to be heard taking photos.
Well, yes and no.
It's kind of embarrassing.
I don't know
Like
if
you're
you
taking a
hear
lot of
this.
photos.
If you hear this, like, you know,
That's
that guy's
cool.
a photographer.
Oh yeah.
That's like a Peter Parker photographer.
It's like, man,
give me pictures of Spider-Man. Is what that makes me
that guy's spending a lot of money on film.
But, you know, it's funny to just get that and compare it to the new. Have you seen the Sony A9 III?
Is that their newest camera, the global shutter one?
The global shutter digital camera. It's like $6,000.
It's a global shutter, man. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. And it just made me think, like,
Very
photographers
impressive camera.
40 years ago were shooting National Geographic, Sports Illustrated. Pick your favorite thing. And they did it with a camera similar to that one. Probably not that one exactly, because that was more like consumer
Yeah,
level.
no,
But maybe so. Maybe they shot it with that. And it's like you can shoot like not 24 frames a second, 24 frames a roll.
Yeah.
So you get like one shot to get your snowboarder, to get your baseball, football, whatever.
Yeah, timing
action.
was crucial back
And
then.
now they're like, oh yeah, an A9 III, you can shoot 120 frames a second, no blackout. You can just spray and pray, get whatever you want. And people, oh, I need to spend $6,000 on this. That's the new thing I need. Just like, I just don't think that's helpful.
The application of the global shutter is interesting though, because I didn't read too much into it, but is it global shutter with video as well?
I believe so, yeah.
Because that is the most interesting part. It's like, give me a global shutter in a camera that size. That's impressive.
I think, though, the more technology changes and advances, to go back to the Quest 3 versus the Quest 2. The Quest 3 comes out, it's like, well, I can't buy a Quest 2. The Quest 3 is out. That's the one I need.
Yeah.
But it's like the Quest 2 was good enough. That was the top for the longest time. Like, I've stopped doing the iPhone upgrades.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
Because it's like,
a couple generations ago.
this was the best one, and then they come up with a new one, and you go, oh, mine's garbage now. I got to get rid of it. And it's kind of silly. You can still use a camera. I don't know what year this came out. I should look it up. But a camera that's like 40 years old, like you can still use that. 30 years old, I don't know. To do a job. And that's like, you can buy that camera, I think, for like $50. You know,
Probably not the best camera to do work with, though. Like,
you could,
like
though.
It'd be difficult.
You could.
How would you?
We could.
You'd have to scan. There'd be more work involved. You'd have to scan the photos after the fact in order to deliver them to your client.
Yes, there's a
that'd
convenience
be-
factor.
Yeah.
But I think it's just easy to forget that, you know, even something that's 10 years old, it still works. If it still works, it can do the job.
Yeah.
And you could shoot a whole movie on your phone. You could shoot YouTube content on a camera from 5 years ago and get a great deal on it and make content efficiently, because that's the problem. And Disney has said this now. Disney's like, these movies are like, we keep losing all this money because the movies are so expensive to make. Yep. Yeah. Like, not every movie has to be $1 billion movie. I mean, they do when, when you're spending half $500 million to make them, you have to make $1 billion on it. But if you spent, dude, even $1 million, think of $1 million. No, it can't be done.
The unfortunate part is it literally can't be done, because in order for them to get back the actors that they would need, like, they would demand so much more money. Like, if you made like a $1 billion box office movie based on $1 million, and you go back to make the sequel, you're like, all right, $1 million. Like,
that's
your
what it was
actors
last
would be
time,
like,
right?
Are you out of your mind? No, unless they had some kind of back end deal, but that's usually not how it operates anymore. But maybe that could be the future to save, the film industry, having more back end deals where, it's less money up front, but if it pays off, like, you'll be compensated very well.
Yeah.
But that's just not how it works.
I think so. I mean, some of the best films of all time are
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, very popular, made a lot of money.
Well, that whole production house actually does that model. What are they called? Something House.
Blumhouse?
Is that what it is? I think it is.
But did they do? I don't know if they did Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
It's Something House. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's Blumhouse, but whoever the production company that made Paranormal Activity, that's their whole motto is just like build it for cheap, and then like we'll get everything on the back end.
Yeah, A24 makes quite a bit of money doing like cheaper,
low budget,
art house,
high reward.
Right.
It's like, and because they've been doing it for so long, they just have such a huge cushion where they're like, well, yeah, like we could make movies theoretically forever because of the first one. It's like it gave us so much of a cushion that we can take a hit, but we never will because everyone's, so much of a fan already. Their audience is so huge that no matter what, it's like, yeah, we're going to be profitable, which is a great way to do it, which is what we're trying to do.
Oh, as a creator, as a studio, I just think the economics of production are easy to ignore when you see the shiny new thing, or you think, oh, I need to spend 10 million. I need to spend 100 million. I need to spend 300 million to be successful. It's like, no, you don't. You can spend basically not nothing, but like use your resources that you have, spend a little bit where it matters, where it's worth it. Just be more tactical with those. And I feel like Disney has totally thrown that out the window. They're like, nah, we're Disney. We print money. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. Like I find that especially on shoots that we do, it's spending the money where it's actually going to make a difference. And usually it makes a huge difference. And a lot of that has to do with cameras, right? It's like you can, shoot the videos we shoot on an iPhone, but in order to get the look we want, like the longer lens, for instance, it's like, well, instead of trying to adapt an iPhone, with a lens and like, because you can do that, it's like we choose to shoot on a camera that makes sense, for us, where it's like, oh yeah, this is very portable, right? We can have all the equipment in one backpack, and make something that's, visually compelling without having to spend $20,000 on a camera body.
Yeah, spend what it takes. Yeah, I don't know, just something that's like...
The global shutter, though, that's interesting.
Interesting.
You can't be not thinking that is a game changer. For one, like studio, like strobe photography.
Yeah, but
like being able to shoot at like any shutter with a global shutter, like that's kind of huge. Not having to use high-speed sync or anything, like that's pretty sweet in my opinion for photography. But then also in video. So I don't know.
But before CMOS, there was CCD sensors that were global shutter.
Yeah, but
so we're just going back to the way it was. It's just with more advanced technology.
Well, yeah, it's just the look that you get with the global shutter for doing, let's say, action scenes. Like that's the look that you can make videos about action sports and everything with a CMOS sensor, but it's not going to be as good or feel as gritty, because that's the kind of feel you get with a global shutter is more of a gritty feel. That's what people really
I'm squinting my eyes real hard. I think like you're not going to have rolling shutter. That's the only thing you're not going to have.
Yeah, and it's
not going to be as jello-y.
A huge difference.
I think it makes like a 1% difference.
It makes 1% is huge.
Huge
in my realm. 1% is mind-blowingly huge.
I think if you use like 1% extra salt in a recipe, you won't even taste it. Huge.
That's a recipe.
Huge.
I'm talking about global shutters. That is a massive improvement.
I mean, it's good. It's good.
I think
it's good the technology is advancing because it will only become cheaper. So I'm excited for that.
I'm thinking with our productions, you could probably name 99 things that are pretty necessary, and then saying global shutter, that's 100. That's all 100 right there.
Not necessary.
It's like we had 99 things going for us, but this made us 100.
Story, like that matters.
It matters, but
the subject, the actual content.
As we both know, a voice can ruin an entire story.
That's true.
Like the sound of somebody's voice, unfortunately, can ruin an entire film.
Careful, people might call us out.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hate these voices.
Everyone hates their own voice, though. You don't hate your own voice?
You get used to it. I think the more you are on video and the more you listen to yourself, you just
Well, it's weird that obviously it sounds different to you, right? When you speak it, like to your ears when you're actually speaking, it sounds one way, and then you hear it back and you're like, ooh, like that's gross.
But that is helpful when you do any kind of voice recording to have headphones so you can actually hear yourself, because then you can change how you sound a little bit.
Yeah, some voice direction.
In the moment. Otherwise, you just have after the fact to listen to it and go, oh, I should speak more down here. I should use my chest voice.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe someone would listen and
Instead
say
of,
you should speak more slowly and enunciate. You know,
Oh, I almost think
it's
the
like
opposite.
no one can hear you. No one understands what you're saying.
I think the opposite. I think people sound more natural when they don't enunciate and they kind of speak more fluidly, where
Yes,
it's all
yeah.
just flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
We're
makes
a
it-
headphone. We don't have headphones.
No, we don't. That's what's one step too far.
Yeah,
That's the 1%. That's not the huge difference.
it'll look more like a podcast if we had headphones.
Yeah, that's fine.
Other than these massive microphones,
I can hear you fine. You can hear me fine.
Yeah,
We're
but it's about hearing yourself.
not
instead.
sitting across the room.
I need to know
What'd you say?
where's my snare.
I need you to enunciate more.
Where's my snare at?
No, I don't like. I don't know. We could have headphones if we wanted, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, no. Maybe when we play videos.
We did. We have the Bluetooth.
Oh yeah, we used to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
not anymore.
But you don't have to plug your ear up. That's if we like Skype someone in or something. We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Which I do love using those Bluetooth earbuds. I'm surprised more people should introduce earbuds into their just everyday. Like, have you ever gone shopping and listened to, I mean, music for one?
Of course.
Because, like, I don't know, especially now, is it December yet? It's almost December. There's Christmas music playing all the time now. It's just after Thanksgiving. Not the biggest fan of Christmas. You know, like I've heard all of it already. So instead, I'll listen to either my own music or podcasts. But I don't know why most people just don't go the way of the earbud, because it seems to be, it's like with all this technology, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've spent probably the last 10 years like doing tedious chores with something playing in the background.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm doing gardening, if I'm grocery shopping, if I'm folding clothes.
Yeah, which I don't know if there's a correlation. I'm sure there is with memory, and like especially when it comes to listening to podcasts specifically, because podcasts, they're very linear and they're obviously tied to a moment in time because they're recorded on a certain date. So I've been listening to podcasts for maybe 10 years now or so. And what's interesting is if you ever go back and listen to a podcast, like an older podcast, for me, if I listen to a podcast, an old podcast, I'll remember, I was like, oh, I was driving to Tucson, you know, like during, like when I was listening, which is a weird way to like remember, but it's like, oh, like this conversation reminds me of that time I was doing dishes or whatever. It's like, man, I was watching that huge, you know, like chili pot or whatever. But it's interesting how like things can like you just recall things, but in the moment at least I'm only listening to it because it's making the chore or task much more, I don't know, enjoyable.
Yeah, smells do that, tastes do that, and I would say I probably couldn't place every moment in time based on a podcast or what I was listening to, but certainly like music evokes like an era.
Yeah.
So if I'm listening to songs from high school, it feels more like, oh yeah, like I remember that time in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, podcasts, I'll have moments if they're significant enough where I'm like, oh yeah, this was the time I was
I was
working
boarding
this
a
job.
plane in
Yeah.
Nashville when I listened to this podcast, which is a weird thing, but it is something that happens, and I've noticed it, and I just thought it was very strange because I was like, why would I remember like boarding a plane? Like that's random, you know,
Brings
it's
you
just
back.
like brings you
Like
back
a
to
time
that
machine.
moment. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. But I don't know. Who's to say? Hopefully that's happening right now. Hopefully someone's listening to this years from when it was recorded. I was like, man, I was, I don't know, driving to Houston. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's what this type of content is valuable for, is just the background noise to fill in all those times where, I mean, I do tend to take breaks sometimes. I'd say more often than not, I'm listening to music, I'm listening to a podcast, but there are the days where I'm driving and I'm like, I just need my own thoughts. I just need to be with myself for a moment because so much of it is the noise, is the distraction.
Yeah.
And then you realize like it's like overwhelming a little bit. You're thinking about all these things are happening elsewhere in the world, what other people are doing. I need some silence just to kind of focus on what I'm concerned about in this moment, which is maybe a project I'm working on or a thought I have that I'm going to flesh out. And I can't be bothered by the distractions, which is really what this is for anyone listening. It's a time filler, which is probably good.
I felt like I've like come to in those kind of moments where I'm just like, oh, it's like, is this
Am I in real life?
No, it's
Is this virtual reality?
Like in my mind, I'll be, going over things in my mind and like maybe like a mental checklist, right? It's like this happens a lot when like I'm on my way to a shoot, going over everything. It's like, all right, what's the chain of events that I think I will most likely encounter, right? Because there's always something that happens and you need to like have, audibles kind of ready to go kind of thing.
Is this stuff like making sure you got batteries and lenses?
And lenses, but it's also
memory cards.
It's like deciding in your mind, like, what am I going to set up first? What's the cadence of events once I get there? Like, what's the best approach, or just remembering it's like, all right, who's my point of contact? I need to make sure that, like, give them a heads up, whatever. But when I'm doing that, I come to and I'm like, oh, I never turned on a podcast. I never turned on any music. I'm just driving in silence. But in my mind, it's just chaos because it's like, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to do this. But
brain's working overtime.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting because obviously you're doing the main thing, which is operating a vehicle. But in your mind, it's just noise. It's like so many things are happening. But
do you find, because this happened, I asked my wife a question. I was asking what the plan was.
What's the plan?
And she was like, why?
What? That's a mind blower right there.
Like what,
why?
What time will you be home? That was my question. Like, what's the plan?
You don't need to know. Maybe it was a surprise.
There's a sense of security that just knowing what's going to happen, I don't need to know. I can go with the flow. It's fine. But there's a sense of
what's on the calendar.
Kind of calm of like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing on Saturday. Or, okay, that's what we're like, just knowing what's coming up. Are you
being mentally prepared? Is
that like
better?
That's like all humans share that trait.
I like to know what's happening. Although I think more recently in my life, I'm more a fan of like the spontaneous. It's like, oh, that's what we're doing today. Let's go. Let's do it. But usually, no, it is nice to know that you don't have to like wake up early, because that's the worst. It's like when you don't necessarily like. I'm sure everyone's like forgotten that they had to be up early for the next day for something, and then getting that text. It's like, ready for tomorrow, and you're just like, what the fuck's happening tomorrow?
That changes my whole plan.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait a minute. And you're like looking at your calendar. It's like, wait a minute. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe being in the moment, just spontaneous. I think that's my new thing.
I can do either, but I
don't want to put anything on my calendar.
I prefer knowing what the plan is, always.
Even if you have no control?
Yeah, totally. And then even if it changes, I'm fine with that. I'm not so rigid, because there are people like that get like, well, you told me, you said, you were, that's not what the plan was. Like, dude, it's like plans change. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So I think I got that out of the way a long time ago, where I'm not holden to what like people said. And there are people that really need that. They need that security. And if you change things, it's very frustrating for them. You got to ditch that. But yeah, just have a loose idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Do you contribute to plans? Like if plans are set for you, do you put things on top of it? Where like, let's say you have to go to a party. Are you like, oh, I need to show up early to help set up for the party?
No.
Like, no? Okay.
Never, not like out of my own way. I've never thought of that.
Well, what about just for like items where you're just like, all right, you're going to a potluck or whatever, and it's like, oh, you don't need to bring anything. Are you the kind of person that's like, but we probably should bring something?
Oh, totally. I'm gonna bring something, and I usually
Why is that? Because a lot of times people are like, don't bring anything. If I
was told not to bring something, I would not bring something. I'm not going to ignore someone's direction.
People do that, though.
But for like holiday gatherings, it's like, what do you need? Oh, we could need, this side dish or whatever. It's like, great. I'd love to provide.
Yeah.
And cook something.
Well, yeah, if it's called upon, right? Yeah, it's like, I'll bring this side dish. But if somebody's like, don't bring anything, and you're just like, but I'm going to bring...
No, I'm not that
mashed potatoes anyway. It's like, why did you do that? What?
No. If someone tells me, I'm very literal with what I say and what I expect from other people. Some people are not like that.
Would you expect it? Like if you threw a party and you're like, don't bring anything, but then
if I said don't
you're like you're like taking mental notes. That's a good friend right there.
That is wild to me that people do that. They'll say one thing and mean another. No, I'm...
It's like,
don't bring anything.
You didn't bring anything, huh? Yeah, you told me not to. It's like that.
No, if I say don't bring anything, don't bring anything.
What about...
That's what I said. Follow my direction.
What about... I've noticed this of a a lot of people, like the regular party throwers, is it an obligation where the party has to, like somebody else has to volunteer?
What do you mean?
Like the location for the party, let's say. Like if one person always hosts the party, is it up for everyone? Like, should other people volunteer their space for a party? Or is it rude, I should say, for one person? Like, not rude for the one person that's always throwing the party, but is it rude that other people don't volunteer their space?
Humans are creatures of habit. So if you sat in a chair on the first day of class, you're likely going to keep sitting in that same chair.
Right.
In college, right?
And now
you pick your seat.
I'm talking about like...
if you go to the same place for years, like 10 years.
Like family gatherings.
Yes, and you go to the same house. Year 11, you're going to go to the same house.
But
it's not even a question because it's just habit.
Your grandparents die.
Well, then you'd have to make an adjustment.
Right, but who is the one to step up and like, you know what? My house is going to be the next house.
I think it's just a matter of what makes the most sense, and I think a lot of people can
intuitively
read that. Yeah, who's got the biggest space with the most open?
Someone with the studios, like right here.
Come over to my apartment.
Come on over.
We're not fitting 50 people.
That would be a great strategy to be.
Oh, to be so kind.
Yeah, to be so kind.
You're knowing
that like no one's gonna be able to fit here. Everyone's gonna be like no. And you'd be like, all right, well,
I'm happy to host out of my camper van.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone come on over, and then everyone's like, absolutely, yeah, let's go camping.
So we're cooking on a 1 gas burner.
Yeah.
Cool.
BYOB.
Yeah, just
bring
don't
your own barbecue.
You need to cook. Yeah. Room temperature items only.
Yeah, just nobody's gonna know. Just bring. Some of the best potlucks are when everyone just brings fast food, right?
Oh, totally.
Haven't you been to one of those? Or have you been to one of those?
I brought like Taco Bell to a party one time.
I've been to a party where it was only fast food, where everyone brought fast food. That's the best. Although now it's way more expensive.
Too expensive.
Fast food's too expensive.
But yeah, if you bring like a pizza, you know, I mean, everyone, there's those common things that just everyone's
donuts.
Like. That's a good one.
Donuts in the morning or some kind of pastry.
Are there donuts on your list that are just, no one's going to eat them?
Late donuts.
Late? No. But like I'm saying flavors.
Oh, I was talking about like, the person who always comes late to anywhere. And
they're still going to get eaten.
Does anyone want Starbucks? Or does anyone want donuts?
Oh, because they're late.
Because they're late. Yeah. They're like, last ditch effort to save my
make amends.
To save face. Yeah. Like, does anyone want Starbucks? And you're just like already drinking your Starbucks that you got on your way
on time,
to set or whatever.
No.
And you're like, I can use a refill.
The flavors of donuts, because they make flavors that I'm convinced no one actually eats. Because in the box, the mixed assortment box, there are always
I think
3 donuts left that no one touches.
The chocolate cake donuts, I would say nobody eats those.
No one touches those. Yeah. Like the old-fashioned chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple people that are fans of like the butterscotch, but it's not common.
Just the cake donuts in general.
No one wants those.
I don't know about the other ones. Like I like most donuts. Like donuts, man. I don't know.
I'll tell you, the amount of times I've seen butterscotch donuts just sitting there.
I don't even know what butterscotch donut looks like.
Exactly. Because it's not the one you'd ever pick.
No.
It's like the tan glaze. It's not vanilla.
Wait,
it's not chocolate.
What's the other one? That's the tan glaze. They call it something else, not butterscotch.
What do they call it?
The fuck is it?
Don't have to get so aggressive with your donuts.
I should know this. Maple, that one.
Yeah,
it's like a tan. Yeah, maple's delicious.
No one wants a maple donut. Like,
what?
You want maple?
Maple's
go eat some
fantastic.
pancakes.
No,
we're here for donuts.
You've never had a maple donut.
I have.
A maple long john.
Disgusting.
Classic.
Get out of the box. They shouldn't even make them.
Otherwise, I like the strawberry filled glazed. I didn't know that was an option.
The ones with jam inside? No one.
No, there's another. Well, Bosa.
Lemon donuts. Disgusting.
Well, lemon desserts in general. It's a Depression era food. No. It's not something that should still be around.
Chocolate, vanilla, and like apple fritter.
Yeah, apple fritters are my favorite.
Just leave it to that. That's all we need.
I don't know why there's a variation. Like, why do long johns exist? When it's like a glazed or like a chocolate covered long john versus just a glazed circular donut or like a chocolate circular donut. It's like, what's the difference other than it just being long versus a circle?
I don't know. Maybe
Is there more like real estate? Is there more donut in a long john versus the circle donut?
I don't know.
It appears bigger.
You can fill them. So I've had that, like a filled long john.
You can?
Like a Boston cream style thing, or like
I've never done
vanilla
that.
pudding custard inside. Yeah, those exist. They used to. They're not as common anymore. More of the filled ones are just the round, filled. But no jam filling, no lemon filling. It's like vanilla custard on the inside, chocolate on top, vanilla on top, whatever. That's
Never
fine.
had that.
But yeah, there's a few donuts they should just stop making because no one likes them. They can be specialty order only. They'll have them in the back.
Yeah. Which is weird because I prefer stale donuts over those like the chocolate cake donuts. Like a fresh chocolate cake donut is lower on the totem pole than a stale glazed donut for me. I don't know.
So are you a fan of crispy?
Like a stale maple donut.
Disgusting.
One of the best things you could ever eat, honestly.
They can have that in like the special reserve collection.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to like back in college, like, oh man. At the end of the day, Fry's or whoever, would discount the donuts by like 60% because it's at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My favorite. I was like, you've left them marinating. Perfect, like in the little side box there with the donut.
Oh, these
box.
are glass aged.
Yeah,
delicious.
LED aged.
So do you like Krispy Kreme donuts?
No, those are too sweet.
Yeah,
Too much glaze. And even when I was a kid, I thought they were too sweet, which is.
but they were so popular.
I didn't understand the hype, and I understood why so many of them went out of business because I was like, yeah, nobody likes these. Who likes these?
They were very popular though.
I think they were.
I've never seen a brand rise and fall so fast.
It was a trend. The box was fashionable. I feel like if you brought a Krispy Kreme box, the logo, it's iconic. It's much better than a Dunkin' Donuts box. Like that looks cheap, right? But like Krispy Kreme was more of a brand, it's like a brand name. It's like, ooh, they brought Krispy Kreme donuts.
Fancy.
Like I'd rather have Bosa donuts, but they just be good donuts.
I distinctly remember in like 5th or 6th grade, the kids who brought Krispy Kreme donuts for the birthday, those were like the cool kids. That was the best. If you brought Safeway donuts on your birthday, people
Which
us
I
5th
would-
graders
I would
were like,
agree.
that's trash.
Yeah, I would
Get
agree
out of here.
though. Like market donuts are not the good donuts.
That are better than Krispy Kreme.
You have to
I always
find the small mom and pop shop donuts. Those are the good donuts because that's what they're focused on. They're focused on making good donuts.
Good donuts.
But the bakery at Safeway,
Still better than Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme is
Better
like
than
the
Krispy Kreme.
lowest of the low on my totem pole of donuts.
Yeah.
They're not even, I wouldn't even consider them donuts. They're more like candy.
yeah, and especially if you get oh my god, they have the chocolate. It's like glazed already, and then they put chocolate and then sprinkles. That's just disgusting. That's
Too much.
The worst flavor.
Too much. Well, maybe we should go get some donuts then, because I do know there's a good donut shop I'll let you decide if it's good or not, or I'll send you the link.
On the next podcast,
you can decide.
We'll know.
We're going to do a taste test.
taste test.
Are these donuts actually good? Ooh, maybe.